Hello, hello, all of you beautiful nerds. How you guys all doing out there? Welcome to another fan chat here at the Den of Nerds. I'm, of course, Josh Lucas. It's Star Wars Sunday. I hope you guys are having a good Star Wars Sunday. It's also a holiday weekend, I guess, technically still. So there's probably a lot of people still with family, still hanging out, doing the whole holiday thing. So if you're doing that, I hope that's going well. I hope that you had a good holiday. There's some really cool Star Wars news to talk about today. It's fun because I always look for what topics I want to talk about, and a lot of the time there's not too many crazy topics to touch on. And this week we got a nice little gift in the form of a really crazy story about George Lucas and about the Obi-Wan movie. So I'm very excited to get into this one. I know a lot of you guys are as well. What's up, everybody? I see you coming into the chat. How's everybody doing? Let me know how the audio is. How's the video? How are we doing here on this Star Wars Sunday? What is up? Cool, thanks. I'm glad you're liking the music, man. Thank you. Yeah, we're trying to get the productions up to a nice level here. You know what I mean? Eventually, fan chats are going to be really cool, really interactive. Next year, we're going to do a ton of these, like at least 2 a week in 2019. These are just fun, man. It's just fun to just hang out with you guys, talk about nerdy things that we like. And like I said, we got a really good one here. Have you guys heard about the Obi-Wan story? I know a lot of you have. Let me know in the chat. Have you heard about this? And we'll get into it in just a second here. All right. I was shocked when I heard about this. I didn't think it was real when I heard about this. Yes, setting the mood indeed. Oh, some people haven't heard about this. Okay. This is going to be really fun. All right, so let's get into this a little bit here. Now, obviously, the Obi-Wan movie is something that's kind of been on people's radar and been talked about. It's been kind of a dramatic thing when it comes to the Obi-Wan movie, guys. We thought this was for sure going to be one of the spin-off films that we were going to get. A lot of people wanted this movie. A lot of people really still want this movie. Okay? And, we got the words from after the Solo box office thing. Obviously Solo underperforming at the box office, losing some money, losing a good bit of money. I mean, not to downplay it. And Star Wars and Lucasfilm and everybody, they really had to think about it, take a hard look on what they were going to do. The Boba Fett movie has been completely canceled. That's been confirmed by a couple of different people out there. And that sort of makes sense. I mean, with the Mandalorian coming out and with the fact that Solo underperformed, we thought that was going to happen. Bob Iger, of course, famously came out a couple of weeks ago, I believe, and said, hey, we're going to do a Star Wars slowdown. We really need to make these things ceremonial. And so in that sense, we're going to slow things down. We're still going to make movies. He was very clear about that. But there will be a slowdown. And a lot of people believed that the Obi-Wan movie, or at least what we thought, the Obi-Wan movie, that was going to be sacrificed at the altar of the Star Wars slowdown. And which is funny because there's this thing that goes on with companies a lot. And maybe it's just because people like you and I, we live in this fandom. You know what I mean? We're always talking to other fans, interacting with other fans. And so maybe it's a little bit different for us. But it seems like this thing tends to happen out there where the fans clearly know what to do. It's not rocket science or rocket surgery, as I like to say sometimes. The Obi-Wan movie would work. People would watch it. People want that film. Same thing with Ahsoka. You put Ahsoka in live action, people will go crazy for it. Do an Ahsoka comic book, people will go crazy for it. And yet it seems like there's a little bit of a disconnect between companies sometimes and fans. Everybody in the fandom wants the Obi-Wan movie. I don't know anybody that's like, nah, I could pass on an Obi-Wan movie, right? And it really seemed like I said, that was going to go away. Now, about a year ago, I believe, there was this picture that came out of George Lucas in Northern Ireland. Okay? Do you remember this? Let me know in the chat, guys. Do you remember this photo? Ah, man, I should have pulled this photograph up. I actually did a video about it at the time because it was rumored, even back then, that George Lucas was going to be coming back to Star Wars. Some people, even back then, and I'll have to double check. I don't want to say for sure, but I am pretty sure a year ago I made a video, is George Lucas directing the Obi-Wan movie? Because of this, not only this story, but there was an image, a picture. He took a picture at a big studio in Northern Ireland, and he was clearly there doing stuff for Star Wars. Like, what tends to happen, guys, just to kind of go off on a little tangent here, what tends to happen is something like this, George goes to Ireland, they're trying to keep it hush-hush. Yeah, Elliot is saying that he remembers me doing that video. Yeah, I think I remember too, bro. I do live videos. Sometimes I forget. But I'm pretty sure I covered that when it came out. And thank you. Simo was here for the super chat. I really do appreciate it. And I guess I should take this second to say, guys, I'm gonna talk about the news for a while, and then we're going to do Q&A. So if you want to get some questions in, we're going to do, every super chat that comes in, I'll answer those. But anyways, let's get back to the topic at hand. So Simo was asked, I missed it. Is it true? It is true. What happened with the story that we're getting into here is true. It's verified. However, this person that leaked this information doesn't necessarily know exactly what's going on, and I'll get into that in a second. But let's go back to a year ago. So a year ago, George Lucas is in Northern Ireland scouting stuff, doing stuff for Star Wars, clearly. Now, the relationship between George and Lucasfilm has been sort of estranged. If you guys don't remember the timeline of this is what happened. So George sells Star Wars. He then has drafts, okay? He has drafts for what he wanted the next couple of movies to be. Now, I don't know if they're scripts. I doubt they're scripts. They're probably just him writing down story ideas, plotting stuff out, seemingly the same way that he did the original Star Wars. The original Star Wars, when he was first pitching it, was not a fully fleshed out script. It was like a spec script, right? Like it explains the concept, it explains different things within the movies. And so he had those. Now, interestingly enough, even before he sold to Disney, he had actually spoken to Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, and Harrison Ford all separately about being in the next set of movies. I believe this was a year, maybe even 2 years before he sold to Disney. Now, what's really interesting here is after, like, when he sells to Disney, like, Mark Hamill didn't know, like, Carrie Fisher didn't know. The last they had heard was, like, George was like, oh, I'm thinking about doing some new Star Wars movies. I would really like you to be in them. And then they talk about stories, ideas, and then 2 years passes. Regardless, after Disney buys them, George comes in and he brings these spec script, and Disney and them look over. And they're like, well, we want to make movies for the fans. Do you guys remember this? Let me know in the chat. Do you remember when this happened? Apparently, Disney thought that George's movies were going to be very George. We've now come to realize that he was not only doing films that were kind of like intimate for him, but he was really going science fiction. Like he wanted to explain the wills and the Force. He really wanted to go there and further explain the Force. By the way, thank you, Girls with Sabers, for the super chat. You guys are amazing. All hail Star Wars Sunday. Remember to like the stream. I always forget to do this stuff. But yeah, if you guys could like the stream, that would be awesome. It really does help the stream out. Girls with Sabers, always on it, helping us out here at the Den of Nerds. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, so anyways, Lucasfilm and Disney are looking at these scripts. They're like, we don't want to do this, George. After that happened, guys, there was like this fissure between George and Disney. You have to understand, George is used to being the man. He's the creator. You know what I mean? He was used to just doing that. Kathy Kennedy and Lucasfilm, they were like, no, we don't want to do this. So this is then, if we're following this timeline, he does an interview with, I believe, Bill Maher, or not Bill Maher. Who did he do that interview with? I'm forgetting. But he basically came out and made the corporate white slavers comments. Do you guys remember this? And he made comments about how, like, it's a divorce, how you don't drive past the house, you don't call, you don't text, you don't do all of that. So basically I say all that to say, like, George and Disney were not friends for the first year or two after Star Wars came out. But you see, George has stock, he has Disney stock. Part of this arrangement, part of this deal is Disney stock. George has to play nice to help Disney. I can't, like, ruin his brand. That would ruin the deal that he has with Disney. Now, with a couple of years back from that, 2 years ago at Star Wars Celebration, George Lucas comes to Star Wars Celebration. This was crazy because they had done one before with Disney. George wasn't there. It was, like I said, believed that George and Disney had a lot of beef. They've seemed to clear that up. Now, along with that was this story last year where George is up in Northern Ireland and he's like scouting locations. Okay. Now, a lot of people were like, okay, so George and Disney back holding hands, they're friends again. We know about this Obi-Wan movie coming. Ewan McGregor had worked with George for those 3 movies, guys, like 9 years, like a decade of working directly with each other. The Obi-Wan film or the Obi-Wan movie, the Obi-Wan character in the prequel movies is one of the best parts of the prequels. Universally loved. People really like it. And so let's just get into it, okay? Boris, what the heck is this guy's name again? Boris Johnson. Do you guys know who Boris Johnson is? I have a picture. I'm gonna bring this guy up. He looks like a supervillain. He's like he's a former British foreign affairs guy, I believe. This guy, you've seen this guy before, right? He's kind of got like worse hair than Donald Trump somehow. I believe he's super conservative as well. You know, made waves or whatever. So anyways, this guy is doing some kind of a speech, okay? And he's talking about, now right now, geopolitics. We got to talk a little geopolitics, guys. But right now, like Brexit is being negotiated and all that. This is an exiting of Britain from the European Union. And so this guy's basically making a speech talking up Britain. Saying like we're the best, basically, right? And so he's talking in this speech, and he literally says in this speech, what was the biggest grossing movie last year? Star Wars. And where does George Lucas propose to make a follow-up about Obi-Wan Kenobi? Northern Ireland. And then he literally goes on to like talk about like lightsabers and stuff like that. And like I said, he is hyping England and Ireland. He's trying to hype it up. He's like, oh, we're the best. Where's George Lucas going to be doing the Obi-Wan movie? In Northern Ireland. Now, here's the thing. Boris, I don't think he's a big nerd, right? Like, I don't think he's, like, lives within this culture. He's just a politician, right? He's just doing his thing when it comes to politics. He had no idea what kind of a bombshell he was about to drop on the internet. And I'm really interested to see, like, what happens from here. Because I don't know. Oh, goodness. Sorry about that, guys. Is Disney and Lucasfilm, are they going to possibly take legal action against a British foreign official? It's very interesting, right? So this guy says this, and because of the story that I was explaining at the top of the video from last year, where we think George was over there scouting locations, it really seems to corroborate this story that George Lucas indeed had planned to come back and shoot the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, and he was indeed scouting locations in Northern Ireland. So what does this mean now in the context of the Star Wars slowdown? What does this mean in the context of the current state of Star Wars fandom? What does all of this mean? I personally believe that they are going to do this. I think despite the Star Wars slowdown, I think despite Yova says, shout out to Yova, what's up, Yova? Says that they hope that the news about the Obi-Wan Kenobi film and George Lucas direct film to be true. Kenobi film must happen. I agree. The Artlander, I feel you on that comment. I know very little about Boris. Just from brief looks, though, he looks horrible. He looks like a horrible human being. Not to be judgmental, but he looks like a supervillain. In either case, yeah. So I think they're going to do this. I think this makes a lot of sense. I think this would be a really great move for Star Wars in general. Okay, like I said at the top, the fact that George has this connection with Ewan McGregor, and the fact that the fan base has this connection to Obi-Wan Kenobi, I think makes it a really good fit. Plus the fact that George comes back. Here's the thing. When it comes to the Star Wars slowdown, I think what Disney is basically saying, and what they're maybe even admitting, given in a certain context, is that they have done a bad job of hiding the commercialism of Star Wars. Star Wars, this thing that really deeply means a lot to a lot of people, to us here especially, right? This thing that should be, art for art's sake to a degree, has avant-garde sort of roots. This thing, the fact that we're just a movie, 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 and director, director, director. And if you look at the business practices of Lucasfilm, that was definitely the way that they approached the sequel trilogy. I mean, getting JJ is a PR move, really above everything else. Getting Rian Johnson is a PR move, really above everything else. It's the same thing with Gareth Edwards. It's a hype train. And the idea is to just attach big names and everything like that. Now, going with George Lucas is not so much a hype train, even though I think it would hype up a good portion of fans. That is really more of a move back to traditional Star Wars. I heard this really interesting thing on Jedi Council this week. And yes, I watched Jedi Council. I absolutely love those guys over there. But Ken Knapsack made this point that a lot of people say that certain Star Wars films or certain things are fan fiction, and Ken made the point that all Star Wars movies that are not directed or written by George is fan fiction because it's George's stuff. George made this, right? It's a lot of what happens with Dragon Ball. Okay, now if you're not familiar with Dragon Ball, Akira Toriyama is the creator of Dragon Ball. He created the manga. That manga was adapted into the anime. And so if it's this thing in Japan where if either a manga or an anime does not directly come from something Akira Toriyama, they don't really, it's not pure to them, right? And I think it's the same thing with George. I really believe that given the place that Star Wars fandom is at, that despite everything we've heard about the slowdown, doing the Obi-Wan film kind of works outside of that context. Bringing George back would be super hype to the fans. New fans would be very interested to see, what's this guy going to do? You know what I mean? Like, obviously, they have the library. The whole world was from this guy. Directing style, what's he going to do? Fans, hardcore fans that have been in it for a long time, I just don't think that... It's weird. I didn't expect this, to be honest with you. When Star Wars was sold, I didn't expect to get to a place where we were like, man, I really would love to see George Lucas come back and do a Star Wars movie, right? I didn't expect that. But we truly are at that place where I'm like really, really interested. You know what I mean? Like, George has seen all of this crazy stuff. And I'm a person, by the way, that really likes The Last Jedi. And I like some of the crazy places we went, some of the crazy things that we have done. I love in Gareth Edwards' Rogue One what we did with Vader at the end of that movie. The fact that we brought Tarkin in it and we're building this canon. There's a lot of really good things that are going on, but there's a lot of misses, to be completely fair. There's a lot of things that Lucasfilm and Disney miss on. And maybe even do things that maybe they shouldn't have. They took some weird risks, yada, yada, yada. George coming back and having seen all of these things and then being able to sort of process it and put it through like the machine that is his mind, and then directing a movie, which I know he's been itching to direct a movie. The guy said he was going to go back and do smaller films and independent stuff. But it's the same thing, I think, with a lot of different people that have big hit franchises. I mean, you look at J.K. Rowling. She wrote some stuff. She did some stuff that wasn't Harry Potter. She came back to Harry Potter. You know what I mean? Not just for the money, but it's like, this is where so much of your like existential energy goes. That's like, yeah, you want to get back on that horse. So overall, I think this just, it makes perfect sense, guys. Like, what do you guys think about this? Do you believe the stories that this is going to happen? Because one of the possibilities here is that, yes, this was a plan. A lot of people in Europe, or at least around Britain, knew about this. Boris knew about this. People knew about this. But then plans changed after Rogue One. I can see a scenario where this was true, but then after Solo. After Solo, Disney's like, Star Wars, slow down. Let's table this George doing Obi-Wan movie idea. It's possible that that's the way it's going to go. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you be pumped for this Obi-Wan movie? Do you think that it could really help bring a lot of the Star Wars fan base back together? Something we could all be pumped about? Let me know your thoughts, guys, in the comment section below. And while we're on that topic, I think it's time to get into a little Q&A. I think it's time to just you guys drop some questions and I drop some answers kind of stuff. Let's just do what we do here in these fan chats and let's chat. I'm a fan, you guys are fans. This is crazy news, guys. This is absolutely crazy news. George Lucas coming back, possibly doing some Obi-Wan. Chad Reisman says, I don't trust Disney at all. I mean, I get that sentiment. I get that sentiment. But would you not trust Disney putting trust back in George? Would you? Would that not sway you a little bit? Yeah, Trippin' Ninja, it's real. You might want to watch the replay. We just went over all the evidence, what actually happened and all that. But yeah, it's real, man. Oh, Mr. Dritz Dordrint, which, by the way, I actually play a drow. I play a drow warlock in my D&D campaign right now, by the way, Mr. Dritz. But do I like Marvel or Star Wars better? Star Wars. It's always going to be Star Wars for me. But I will say this, if you look at what's going on in the channel right now, I mean, obviously Marvel is what's really hot right now. And the thing that I really like about covering Marvel stuff, and this is something that Al Schuler can attest to. I see Al in the comment section. Al's one of our executive producer Patreons. And guys, we have this really cool Marvel theory about to drop. It's actually a series of videos, and this is what I'll say about Marvel. This is just what it is. I say this as my perspective of this thing, not trying to be a dick. Marvel fan base is at a way better place. It's so much more fun right now to make Marvel content because everybody's just loving everything. Like, the hype is just crazy. People are like, yo, Avengers 4, crazy. And the hype for it is crazy. Unanimously across the board, it's like people are just really hyped on it. And there's no big fissure in the fan base. And so, to be completely honest with you, even though I love Star Wars much more, it's way more enjoyable for me right now to be doing Marvel content, to be doing MCU content. That's just the truth. So hopefully George Lucas can come back and do this Obi-Wan movie, and then the Star Wars fan base can get its shite together, and then it will be just as fun to do Star Wars content again. Feel free to drop them questions in there, guys. Drop the questions. Zyga took over Star Wars Commander for mobile. Supposedly, they made a deal to make another Star Wars mobile game. Have you heard anything about that, Zyga news, or what the new game will be? I have not heard anything about a new Star Wars mobile game. What was that Star Wars mobile game that they killed before it even launched? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? I was actually pretty hyped on it. The thing that really sucks, Google really messed up, and they put out a notification to everybody who pre-registered for this game to tell them that the game's out, only to then get a 404 dead link code, error code, and then you realize they killed the game. What a shitty way to find out that they killed a cool Star Wars game that you were looking forward to. Very, very stupid move on Google Play's part and on whoever developed that. Rivals, I believe, is the one. Yova asks, what do you think of Kenobi finally being added for Battlefront 2 with the Clone Wars map? I think it's awesome. I haven't had any chance to play it, but I love me some Battlefront. Despite all the controversies with both of the Battlefront games, they're really fun. They're great games. And yeah, I like them. I like them a lot. So I think that's pretty dope. Yeah, Mike, I agree. I hope some more relevant stuff comes for sure. Let's see here. We got a question from my main man, Al Schuler. Do you think we have reached a place where the MCU has overtaken Star Wars? Is the MCU now more prestigious than Star Wars? Interesting question. I almost want to say that the fact that it's not considered prestigious is a part of the formula that allows Marvel to succeed. Star Wars is sort of a double-edged sword, and Al, you know this. We talk about this all the time. The thing about Star Wars is it's not just movies. It's not. It's almost a religion. You know what I mean? And like Marvel kind of isn't that. And in some ways, that plays way better. You know what I mean? Like the expectations are a little bit lower, I guess. You know, you bring in a lot more casuals. You know, it's different things like that. So I almost feel like it's almost Star Wars. It's to the detriment of Star Wars that the fact that it is so significant and is so impactful. But that to me, to answer your question, truly is like, no, it's not more prestigious, but it's like the Marvel is succeeding in ways that Star Wars is not right now. You know what I mean? And by the way, the Marvel Cinematic Universe will probably go down as one of the most significant things in entertainment ever. But that will be in the same conversation as Star Wars. Star Wars and Marvel will in the cinematic universe will be in the same conversation. Girls with Sabers, thank you for the super chat. Amazing. Thank you for the support. What are some of the things we can expect to see from the Den in 2019? This is a great question. So let's just spoil a bunch of stuff. Let's just tell you guys a lot of cool things. So first of all, more fan chats. I think I said that at the top. I want to do way more of these fan chats. I want the production of these fan chats to be much better. And so we just have a lot more fun interacting with you guys at least twice a week. I've got plans for a Den of Nerds official podcast. I'm thinking of calling it Nerdvana. Nerdvana, the official Den of Nerds podcast. That should come out once a week. I'm working on building a podcast studio in my basement, and I'll be doing that podcast and hopefully some other podcasts. There are 2 more channels that are launching for the Den of Nerds in 2019, the Den of Nerds Anime and the Den of Nerds Tabletop. And so the Den of Nerds Anime will focus on, obviously, anime, emphasis on Dragon Ball Super. I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan. I love Dragon Ball, so we need a place for that. It kind of, the way things happen, it can't really work on this channel anymore. So the Den of Nerds Anime and the Den of Nerds Tabletop. Tabletop is going to be covering a lot of this Keyforge game. Have you guys, let me know in the comments, have you guys heard of Keyforge? Keyforge is a new card game created by Richard Garfield, who is the guy that created Magic the Gathering. This game is super hype. I actually have a meeting later tonight with one of my buddies who's like a producer, and we are making plans for the Tabletop channel. So there's going to be some like Dungeons and Dragons content on there, some Magic the Gathering, Keyforge, things like that. The Den of Nerds Gaming, which is our channel. We already have it. If you're into gaming, go check that out. Very excited to be doing stuff on that. You know, Smash Bros is right around the corner. I'm so hyped for Smash Bros Ultimate. So that's just some of the stuff that's going on in 2019. I don't want to bore you guys, but yeah, 2019 is going to be big. Yeah, that Keyforge is very, very cool. How old was I when I first started watching Star Wars? I want to say I was 12. I want to say I was 12. Now, the way my parents, actually my aunt is my aunt. We went over and my aunt had the box of the VHS, the box set of the VHS of the Star Wars. And we were watching them. My dad and the family, I believe, were watching Return of the Jedi. And I was watching I was like playing, like I wasn't really engaged with what was going on the TV. And then the Sarlacc pit scene came on and I just like went over and kind of was enthralled by it. Now, literally later, I just went through those movies, all the VHS, like that night, went and just watched them all. You know what I mean? It was a really cool, like, ceremonial experience. My aunt came down, watched with us. I was there. It just, like, caught my imagination. Like, I was just so into it. And from that moment on, like, I've watched the original trilogy almost uncountable times. What about the Yoda movie? George asks. I would love a Yoda movie, but I think that the problem is with Yoda, it's like one of those things like, how far do you want to go down that lane? I think one of the mistakes with the Solo movie was that Han is sort of a character, this rogue type character. He fits into this archetype, even though he is definitely like technically a protagonist, technically one of the main cast. He is not necessarily a character that is helped by further explanation or exploration of backstory. You know what I mean? There's a mystery to Han that I think is appealing in the cinematic sense. And I believe that that's the same thing when it comes to Yoda. This is a guy that was 1,000 years old. He's the Grand Master in charge of the Jedi Order. There's so much mystery, so many stories within that 1,000 years. I would prefer a book, to be honest with you. I'd prefer a book that could explain all of these little things and really dive deep. And a movie, the thing is, and this is another thing, it's really weird. Did you guys watch? Let me know. I'm all over the place today. I'm a little ADD. Did you watch Jedi Council this week? The Thanksgiving episode. Let me know in the comments because they talked a lot about long form storytelling when it comes to the streaming shows versus what you can do in a movie. One of the problems with Solo, in my opinion, is that it's condensed and it threw all these little like member berries and sort of nostalgic things and explanations for different things, and it ties this very intricate web, like kind of hitting you over the head with all this stuff, kind of boggled my mind a little bit, and it doesn't feel organic. And so a novel doesn't have that problem, and neither does like a streaming show. So I'd almost prefer Yoda in one of those kind of things. Does that make sense? Dark Side Yoda, maybe. Trippin' Ninja, do you think we will ever get a movie/show centered around a Sith or maybe just R-rated? I'm thinking like Logan was to the MCU. I feel the chances are slim, but I would love it. It's really funny that you say that. I actually have. This is the first time I've ever talked about this on the stream, but I am working actively on a comic book that is literally going to be a hard R version of Star Wars. And it's a Star Wars parody book because it like you have in order to do copyrighted stuff, like you kind of have to do parody. And this is because I say this to say I'm interested in what a hard R or a more adult version of Star Wars could be. Focusing on a Sith would be absolutely crazy. Now, I don't focus on a Sith in my story. It's a bounty hunter. But to answer your question, like, I would love that. I think it would be really cool. Here's what I'm hoping. Exactly. Chad just nailed it. In the old Republic movies, which it might not be a trilogy, actually, it might be a series of movies. If that goes the way that I think it's going to go, we can have some really interesting characters that really like could be dark side or light side, sort of, more intensely down the gray path, perhaps, more interesting than some of the characters that we have right now. And so in that scenario, it could focus on a Sith or a dark side user, you know what I mean? Something like that. That would be really, really cool. I think it would be a mistake to not have some main characters on the Sith side of things in the Old Republic movies. I think it just kind of makes sense. Simo was here. What will we learn about Rey in episode 9, and how will that shape the future of the galaxy? It's really hard to say. Obviously, we don't know too much about this, but I think there will be some stuff revealed about Rey. I do believe they're going to change. It's not a retcon technically, but I believe that they are going to sort of change her lineage thing. So I think that she will be connected to a lineage. I also believe there will be more explained about Rey and Kylo Ren and their connection to the Cosmic Force. Hopefully spelled out just a little bit more about like what is going on with these two and the galaxy. And I think it might, unfortunately, I think the way it might go is sort of a flash in the pan of the cosmic like storytelling, the tapestry that is the story of Star Wars. The Rey and Kylo Ren thing is going to be significant, but maybe short. I'm really getting this feeling that Disney doesn't want Kylo Ren or Rey around in the future of Star Wars, for better or worse. So that's my thoughts. That's just kind of where I'm at with it. Guys, I'll probably go for like 20 more minutes. Unfortunately, I have like a cough. Luckily, I haven't coughed too much in this video, but my throat is actually kind of sore. Hawks Holocrons, what's up, Scotty? No way in hell George stays away from all of this. He definitely has a plan for getting involved. I think it might happen. I think it might happen. I'd be very excited. I'm really hoping that the news is true, and I really hope that George. Look, they can announce this stuff if they really want to do this right in the celebration next year. Celebration next year. Oh my God, only 2 likes on the video? That's it. I'm out of here, guys. Bye. I'm gone. No, I'm just kidding. But if you could give it a like, that'd be really cool. Yeah, I really hope at Celebration they announce this. They really just knock us off of our feet with the George coming back doing Obi-Wan, the explanation of what Dan and Dave are doing, more stuff on the shows, more stuff on the episode 9. I really just hope they blow us away. Will Rebels get a live-action reboot on Disney Plus? No, but I should get a Reylo mug. I might make Reylo mugs for the merch. I've been slacking on the Den of Nerds merch. Oh, I saw you girls with Saber. Sorry, I'm actually not drinking out of a mug because my Nerdy News Rundown mugs still haven't arrived. There's like this big debacle. Like apparently it didn't ship out my order or Erica Stone's order. But I'm actually just drinking some iced espresso. Ooh, that's good. It's the blonde espresso. So here's the thing. I saw a question about the, thank you for that. Yo, Chad, I'm sorry to tell you, but Reylo is definitely a thing, my friend. It's a thing. It's happening. And I'm actually pumped about it. But, oh yes, Scotty doesn't like Reylo either. Guys, after episode 9, we're going to have a big stream where all the Reylo shippers are going to point and stick our tongues out at all of you who doubted. And it's going to be amazing. We're going to be like, told you. Frickin' told you. Liam, that's an interesting question. Wait, I'm going. I need to focus. Let's see here. What am I, where was I at? What was I talking about? This is like the worst stream ever. I mean, we're going to lose subs for this. Oh man, I've ignited something in the chat. I love it. People are excited. But yeah, I saw a question. Oh man, I'm blanking on what that question was. Drop your questions back in, guys. Drop your questions back in. There was a cool question I wanted to ask, but I'm forgetting it. But yeah, who's my favorite Star Wars character? It's kind of funny. I actually like Kit Fisto a lot. I just think he's sweet. He just looks awesome, and I had a really dope Kit Fisto toy when Attack of the Clones came out. So cool. So I really like Kit Fisto. Plus, he had a saber that could ignite underwater. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm sorry, Christina. I'm trying to focus. Yeah, so that's probably my favorite Star Wars character. But I like really obscure characters. I also think Ezra Bridger is amazing. I'm so excited about this possibility that we're gonna get Ezra Bridger and Thrawn together in a book. How will Resistance end? I know a couple people ask this. I'm actually way behind on Resistance. I only watched like the first 2 episodes, and look, I just gotta be real with you guys. It's like really kiddie. It's like really kiddie, and some of the humor and the animations that they have for the main character, I just personally wasn't feeling it all that much. If I hear that like the end of the season is really dope and there's some really cool things going on, I might go back in and check it out. But yeah, Resistance just wasn't for me. But you know what's funny, guys? Here's what happened. I didn't love Resistance, and I decided I'm not gonna go make a video where I shit all over Star Wars Resistance. You know what I mean? Like, isn't that a novel idea? I just quietly decided not to watch it. So, you know, you don't always have to take things that you don't like and try to make a big deal of it and say that it's bad and that Star Wars is wrong and Disney's screwing everything up. I think it's it's majorly a show for young people. I think it's probably really great for them. And yeah. Ooh, Al Schuler, thank you for the super chat, my friend. We should coordinate Den of Nerds watch party for 9. Everyone in your area comes in and watches it. I'd fly out for that. That's actually a great idea. That would be really cool. That would be really cool. We got plenty of time to figure that out. So that would be really hype. Guys, let me know in the comment section. Would you guys want to do a big watch party? What if we got like a little theater or something and we all hung out and watched episode 9 together? Would you guys be into that? That's why Al is an executive producer, because he's got the good ideas. I don't think Rey is a Kenobi. Jenny Raylan says, I think she's a Force child like Anakin, would explain the Force vision she had in the mirrors. Yeah, I actually recently did a theory video, which is doing pretty well, talking about a Rey theory, where, yeah, she's sort of like a Force child like Vader. I have a lot of thoughts on that. I think it would be really cool. I would kind of prefer that to the Kenobi thing. My personal favorite lineage would be her being a Palpatine. Like, I'm just a Palpatine fanboy, and I've talked about that. I wish we could get Andrew Fantasia in this chat right now, because Andrew Fantasia and I are big fans of this Palpatine theory. I think it would be awesome and difficult for Rey in a lot of different ways, because number one, what if the First Order was like, oh, well, this girl that's in charge of the Resistance, we actually want her to be our leader, and we would follow her. You know, she's the blood of Palpatine. She's this crazy Force user. We want Rey. That'd be crazy. A whole new pressure on her. And what if she had to deal with that? She has to deal with the fact that she comes from pure evil. You know what I mean? Pure evil. I think that would be very interesting. Rey is a Jawa, the greatest twist in all of cinema. Episode 9. Girls of Saber with another super chat. So sweet. No question. Just helping the theater fund. Oh, yeah. It's going down now, guys. It's going down. Have you commented on the theory that Rey could have killed her parents? Crazy sounding, but interesting. This is actually something that came up, I believe, even after The Force Awakens. There were people that had this idea that perhaps she was so powerful that she destroyed her family, that she just, yeah, that she did something really bad, and that's why she was left on Jakku, and that people couldn't really handle it. It's interesting because I believe there was a cinematic done in the Old Republic, which is currently the MMO, the Star Wars MMO, and there's a similar female character that had that same thing. She's this Force prodigy. They're training, and she's just like, she does a lot of damage, and they decide like exile her, sort of. And that would be really cool, but I doubt it. You know what I mean? I just doubt it. I don't know if that's the way that they're gonna go with it. Could be really interesting. I think that's a great. I don't understand why that hasn't been picked up more for a character, especially like perhaps it will happen in the future, but in a way where there's not a lot of Force users, and then nobody's really used. There's no Jedi to train you. No real knowledge of that. Imagine if you're just even moderately Force sensitive and you get angry. When I was a kid, I'd get angry and like wish really bad things on people. I'd be like, I can't believe she said that about my hair. I hope she trips and falls and all her teeth fall out. You know? Well, what if you had the Force and you didn't know what was going on and you did that? It's an interesting thing to happen to someone or happen to a character. So that would be cool. Yeah, I don't really want to see people killing their parents either. Yeah, right. Accidentally crashed the ship right after it cuts from her saying "come back." Maybe. That's kind of a cool thing. Christina, big question. Will they fix Kylo's pants in episode 9? Yes, I believe they will come up above the nipple in the next one. That's as your power in the dark side grows, your pants go further up to the point where they will cover his nipples. And I heard that's all he's going to wear. It's going to be just shirtless all the way up over the nipples for Kylo Ren. That's the First Order. It's time to let old fashioned die. You know, kill it if you have to. Yo, Ben Zero, thank you for the super chat. Don't know what T-gay is though. If that's some kind of meme or something, you know, I don't know, man. I don't know what that means. This is kind of like you know what just that popped in my head? The idea of a wedgie. You know what I mean? Like, with him. Happy Sunday, dude. Salah. Alexander. Happy Sunday, dude. I'm wondering, what do you think about the Star Wars Theories Vader's fan film? Okay, this is a great question. And how am I pronouncing your name wrong, brother? I know you've been on here before and we've chatted, but I feel like last time I had a better grip on how to pronounce your name. Because I'm a little brain dead this morning. I apologize. So what he asks, what do I think of Star Wars Theories Vader fan film? I've been really enjoying watching that whole thing go down. I think Star Wars Theory is just a brilliant guy. He's been in the game for a long time. You know what I mean? He's very successful. He does what he does very well. I think it's so cool. Do you guys realize how much money he spent on this film and how much money he's going to continue to spend on it? And the thing is, and I think this is one of the things that George was more keen on than Kathy. And it's not even this isn't even a notion. This is reality. Kathy killed a lot of things like the Robot Chicken stuff, the Family Guy stuff to protect the identity of the brand. Kathy Kennedy's take on that was, no, we're going to take away all that parody stuff and take away that and allow more serious Star Wars, and our branding is important. And George was kind of not that way. Like, he really liked the fan films. In fact, he had a contest, and I believe they still have this contest every year for the best Star Wars fan film. There's also, there was the Robot Chicken stuff. There was the Family Guy stuff. George was a fan of people exploring their fandom through cinematics and through making movies. I mean, he's a movie maker, right? He comes from that world. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think so T-Series diss track, is that what the T-Gay is? The T-Series diss track? How close is that, by the way? Are they gonna pass him soon? Because I know like Pewds has been doing so well at like getting people to sub. You know what I mean? Like getting really, really high up there. Yeah, and the thing is about Kathy doing that, I don't necessarily disagree with her. It's funny. Like at the time, I thought that was a good move. Actually, I was like, look, that's really cool. But the more I think about it, I'm not so sure. So, with the fan movie made by Star Wars Theory, what's cool about it is I think it might give a blueprint. Now, it's not like he's going to be able to massively affect what Disney does. But I think if he does this and it's sort of universally into that, people are like, whoa, this Vader fan film is really crazy. I think number one, it sort of elevates what we do in the fan community, but also like could sort of pave the way for, what to do with the future of Star Wars. And who knows, man, like, I think the sky's the limit and media is really changing. We're in this really interesting time here. And, I just wish the guy all the success in the world. Like, ultimately, even if he got the opportunity to maybe do a show or write a show, an episode, direct an episode, even if like they really sort of, locked him down and had other people in place, that would be really, really cool. I'd be super into that. So yeah, love the idea of the Vader fan film. I'm very excited that he's doing that. I'm excited to check it out. It's going up free on his YouTube channel, man. The guy is like, he's a great gift to Star Wars fans. Pooja Sharma says the Avengers 4 trailer was released a minute ago. I'm going to go ahead and say that's not true. Link it. Link it or you're a liar. People are really hyped on that Avengers 4 trailer. As am I. Oh, that's very sweet. Christina Paul says, I'm a gift to us. I'm one of those gifts you get and you're like, you have to act like you really liked it. But you're like, man, really wanted this other thing. That's the kind of gift I am, I think. Play the diss? Dog, I can't play that diss. I'm not going to play no Pewds. He's going to copy strike me. He's going to copy strike me like Alinity. Let's go like 10 more minutes, guys. Drop your questions in. Drop your questions in. Ricardo Chardon, just showing support. Thank you so much, brother. Would like DBS content. Yo, the DBS content is coming, man. The thing is, it's just a tricky situation. And Yova, thank you so much for the super chat as well. Raylo forever. Yes. Raylo forever. Yes. But when it comes to the DBS content, like I can't stop thinking about it. I'm so hype on Broly. I play Fighters. I just got Fighters on the Switch. I got Star Wars Dragon Ball Legends on the mobile phone. Like I love that game. I play it every day. I love that game. I love Dragon Ball. Love me some Dragon Ball. And so when it comes to Dragon Ball, I really needed to do the content, but it's just like I said, it's not going to work on this channel. I want to do the Den of Nerds anime specific, gonna cover when the new series comes out, or at least the manga, because right now, not to go down this rabbit hole too much, but next year the manga, the Dragon Ball Super manga, is of course expanding and talking about this Majin Buu thing and the Galactic Patrolman and this new arc. Very interesting stuff. So hoping that gets adapted. I truly believe that they are going to do a new arc of Super, or at least something Dragon Ball after Broly. It just makes sense. Like, guys, Dragon Ball is so hype right now. It's crazy to me how hype it is. So yeah, so definitely gonna be cranking out that Dragon Ball Super content on the Den of Nerds anime. I'm looking forward to it. Well, Yova, thank you so much for the very first donation. You figured it out, and I appreciate it. Ryan, you must have come in later in the stream. It's all good. Yeah, we can definitely talk some Avengers for Ben. Drop a question, brother. Ryan, look, I'll give you the brief version. Sali. My apologies, my friend. My apologies on that. The Lucas thing comes from a British foreign official. He was doing this sort of meeting, this presentation, to sort of amping up England and Britain, basically. And he talked about how George Lucas is going to be making the new Obi-Wan Star Wars movie, Obi-Wan Kenobi Star Wars movie in Northern Ireland. This coincides with a story that came out last year when George was up there scouting locations. People took pictures with him. He was at a big Lucasfilm studio, or at least one of the studios that they rent. So that's basically the TLDR. Yeah, Vegeta-san, Emergency Awesome. I like Charlie's take on Dragon Ball. I like the way he says Vegeta as well. Vegeta, I believe is something close to that is how he pronounces Vegeta. Love Charlie, dude. Emergency Awesome, of course. Charlie the man. What point in Avengers 4 do you think the fallen heroes come back? I'm thinking around the end. That's a very interesting question. I actually think that it's going to be 2/3 of the way in. The way that I think it's going, bye girls with sabers. Thanks for the love. That the way that I think it's going to go, and this is just a theory, is that they'll sort of beat Thanos, and then they sort of will have to beat Thanos again. I believe that the Battle of Wakanda, this is something that Al Schuler and I talked about. You know that footage we saw from the Battle of Wakanda with Hulk running forward, and there's footage that was in the trailer that they shot for Avengers or for Infinity War that didn't show up. I think we might get Battle of Wakanda Part 2 with the Avengers actually together, actually stopping Thanos from getting all of the stones. I think that's the way it's going to go. Yo, see you, man. Have a safe flight. Have a safe flight. But yeah, that's kind of what I think's going on with that. Why doesn't Lucasfilm just hire Star Wars Theory as a writer? Your comic is different because you are doing parody, and he's doing a between episodes 3 and 4 thing. There's a whole slew of reasons, Sally, that he will that they are not going to do that. Number one, I do not believe that Star Wars Theory is gilded. He's not a gilded writer. I don't believe he's represented by an agency, and I also believe that when it comes to copyright stuff, it can get very tricky. Now, let me give you an example of this. I work in comics. I was an editor-in-chief for a publishing company. I've written comics. I have a lot of indie comics. I edited a lot of comics. One of the things, so I would meet people from DC and Marvel all the time, and I would sometimes want to give them my comics. Now, the problem is sometimes they cannot legally even read my comics. And the reason is because, let's say they read something and it's very similar to a story they have coming out, and then I sue them for copying my story, even though it's technically not copying. Because of the way that copyright laws work, it would be very tricky for them to take a guy like Star Wars Theory and actually hire him to be a writer on a project. Now, I think they could still totally do it, but there's just a lot that's sort of stacked against him in that regard, and they also would consider it a risk. Now, what's cool is as media shifts, you're talking about a guy with over 1 million subscribers for Star Wars. he could definitely drive some views. This is not a small thing. I think it's significant. I think we all understand how big YouTube is, how big YouTube's going to get. It's a significant thing that he could do. But there's a lot working against him, too, traditional ways of doing it. Yeah, Yova, I do believe that Avengers 4 will be the longest MCU film ever. I cannot wait for it. Does Thanos eat donuts? Of course he does. That's probably what he did as soon as the credits rolled and he's just sitting on the planet after the universe. He's like, yes, now I will have more donuts. Oh, good question, Trippin' Ninja. Do we think we're going to get any more info on the Benioff and Weiss films at Celebration? I would say so, yes. I think it would be a mistake not to, but from what I understand, that would be sort of a crunch job because they're not even starting production on that until they are done with Game of Thrones. However, they will probably wrap on Game of Thrones relatively soon. Like, they'll probably wrap way before it airs, obviously. But I think they'll still be sort of working on it a little bit. I'm not sure exactly. But it'll be a crunch job because of when Celebration happens. Do you know what I mean? Sorry, I had to plug in the computer. Ooh, okay. All right, JDP, I'm going to give you the quick version. If you want all the info, please check out the beginning of this video. It's going to replay. It's going to replay so that you can go check it out. But a foreign official, Boris Johnson, the living whoopee cushion, as Brian points out, was speaking about this, talking about how George Lucas is going to be shooting the next Star Wars movie about Obi-Wan Kenobi in Northern Ireland. The reason we believe this is because George Lucas was in Northern Ireland last year scouting locations, and he was at big studios taking pictures with people at Lucasfilm. Look, guys, it's potential. This is not clickbait. This is not a bullcrap story. It's very likely that George will come back and direct Obi-Wan Kenobi. All right, let's do 2 more questions, guys. 2 more questions, and then I got to get out of here, okay? Let me know what you're thinking. Tom Holland left the chat. I didn't want him to go. I don't want to go, Mr. Stark. That was emotional. Yep, no problem, man. I think it's great news, too. We talked a lot about it in this episode, and we're going to be talking about it for a long time, I believe. If it's true, man, good news for Star Wars. Good news for Star Wars. What is my most favorite character of the Avengers and the X-Men? That's a really tough question. One of my favorite Marvel characters is Kane, the Scarlet Spider. Oh, Christina, thank you. And he's not actually an Avenger or an X-Men, so that's kind of tough. I'm a big Spider-Man fan. Love me some Spider-Man. As far as the X-Men are concerned, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I've always liked Wolverine. The thing is, I've never been like a huge X-Men guy. There's some people out there that are like, yo, it's X-Men above Avengers, and they've been super into the X-Men. I was never like that. You know, I'm kind of boring, I guess. I really like Tony Stark. I like Namor. I was more into like the Illuminati and like Doc Strange and all that. So, Josh asks, do I think Disney's new subscription channel will fare well? Yeah, I do. They're spending money, and honestly, like, it's crazy. Live action MCU, live action Star Wars. That in and of itself will sell a lot of people. But then you got your Pixar stuff. You know what I mean? You've got so much coming out. It's gonna be crazy. When do I think the episode 9 trailer will drop? That is a mystery. That is a big mystery. They might save it for Celebration. They might save it for Celebration, but yeah. I don't know. Some people speculate that they shouldn't save it for Celebration and they need to build hype earlier than that. Interesting note on the trailer. There are rumors that it's not just going to be a little like trailer. There are a lot of rumors that John Williams is, first of all, he's conducting and composing an all new score just for the trailer, and that when the first trailer drops, it's not going to be a teaser, but an expansive trailer that sets up like crazy expectations. I think that would be a very good idea. The question is, where does that best served? Is this going to be served at Star Wars Celebration? Could this come out on Monday Night Football, the Super Bowl? What are we thinking? Iron Man will get back home in the twin jet or the Milano. Because guess who he's with? Nebula. Guess who knows how to fly spaceships and traverse the galaxy? Nebula. And you know what? I heard he's going to be rocking that T-Series joint. All right, guys, we just hit the hour mark. One more question, hit me, and then we're going to get out of here. By the way, Trev, I do like Professor X, but in the comics, he's kind of like a villain. Al says he believes that the trailer should be held for Celebration. I can see that. I can definitely see that. Could definitely make some sense there. Yeah, or Super Bowl. One more question. Hey, thank you very much, Mr. Dritz. Thank you very much. Do you roll a drow in D&D or no? My favorite Star Wars movie? That's tough. Probably Empire. But the thing is, for me, it actually bounces between Return of the Jedi and Empire. I actually really like Return of the Jedi, especially the not special edition version. You know, the bam 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 bam, like drives me crazy. But yeah, the regular version of that, dope. Do I think memes are real? Memes are life. I just shared one of the funniest memes I've ever seen on my page, my Facebook page. Have you seen this meme? It's Sam Jackson as Hagrid from Harry Potter, and it's like, you're a wizard, motherfucker. Like, I was like, this is awesome. So yeah. I don't think the video has only 3 likes. I think that a lot of people liked it, and YouTube's just weird and not registering it. Or everyone hates me, and nobody liked the stream. But that's going to do it for this fan chat. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. We're going to be doing a lot more of these fan chats. I just love doing these things, just hanging out with you guys. This news about Obi-Wan is crazy. I'm sure we'll talk about it again. I might even cover it on the show tomorrow. Perhaps some new developments will come out from there. And yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging out, giving the support, giving the views, giving the likes on the videos. It means a lot. You guys are awesome. So, as I always say, good people of the internet, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I will see you in the next video.